Hello everyone, it is your coach of the Tucson Sugar Duskulls, and today we are taking on the Miami Heatran. This was a pretty great battle. I think that I knew what I was getting into coming into this, and that will definitely show as we continue through it. And kudos to Kyler here. I think it's Kyler. I don't know if it's Kyler or Kyle R. But to the coach over at the Miami Heatran, I honestly thought I would run away with a 6-0. Not with it, any cockiness in mind. It was mostly due to the fact that he had no normal types on his entire roster, and I saw very many avenues to be able to set up Spectre for an entire sweep. And that was kind of the win con going into this, but I also wanted to make sure that I was as careful as possible so that I didn't, squeeze out a loss here and or lose as many Pokemon as, potentially just lower my differential. So this is a much faster game than my previous game. My first game for this league was 88 rounds, and I lost 0-5. And you'll see how this one turns out. So let's hop into it. So right out of the gate, I start off with Magmar, thinking that he might go Heatran for Stealth Rocks. Magmar outspeeds the Heatran, and I also have Scorching Sands, which I believe would have one-shot the Heatran. So that's why I started Magmar, but he went Primarina, which was a crazy pick. I was a little confused for a while as to what I was going to do, but eventually I remembered that I brought Volcanion specifically to be able to take care of Primarina because of Water Absorb, and it also got Sludge Wave, which put some work down on Primarina. So what I'm going to do here is I swap out to the Volcanion. Primarina stays in, goes for a Scald. I take no damage with the Water Absorb, and let's see what happens next. We go for the Sludge Wave. She hits the Toxic, which at this point I'm totally okay with. The Toxic doesn't scare me at all because really I just need Volcanion to take care of Primarina. I don't need Volcanion for really anything else in this entire game, as it kind of loses out in many of the other scenarios. But see what happens next. So we take the damage from the Toxic. He swaps out to the Heatran. I stay in, go for the Sludge Wave. Now, as this was happening, I knew that he was probably going to swap out to the Heatran, expecting a Sludge Wave to come through, given that I had just used Sludge Wave. However, I wasn't entirely sure what he was going to do, if he was going to stay in or maybe go out to something else. I figured it would be the safest bet to go for Sludge Wave, just in case. However, I could have gone for a Steam Eruption or even Flamethrower, but Steam Eruption probably would have been the best route there, which you'll see coming up on this next turn. He hits the Earth Power. It does 40%, which isn't quite as much as I thought it would do, to be honest, and I get the Steam Eruption for the Yoko. That told me that he was building Heatran as non-special defensive, so he either went defensive or went offensive. No special defense there, and because any amount of special defense investment into Heatran would have made it so that Steam Eruption wouldn't kill, I believe. It's either that or Steam Eruption had a very small % chance to OHKO, and I just got lucky, but I do remember calculating that, and that's kind of what happened. So he goes out to Heatmor here, and I swap out to go to Magmar. The reason why I swap out to Magmar is I know for a fact that I need Volcanion, and Heatmor, I think Heatmor actually outspeeds my Volcanion potentially. I don't know if I really fully invested into speed or not. I also wasn't entirely sure what he would be running on Heatmor, and I absolutely need Volcanion for the Primarina. So I just wanted to play it safe. I don't really need Magmar for the rest of this game. I have a lot of ways to deal with both Rillaboom, Alakazam, Clefairy as well. So I wanted to bring in Magmar, get a little bit of damage, and possibly sack Magmar, which you'll see here. He swaps out to Primarina again. We go for the Scorching Sands. And we're going to go ahead and call the Scald, swap back out to Volcanion, and get a little bit of health back, which is absolutely clutch here. Now that Heatran is dead, we have a free Sludge Wave. He does not want to swap into anything here. So we're going to hit that Sludge Wave. He stays in with the Primarina, dies, and we get the kill on the Primarina. He figured, in my opinion, he probably just figured that Primarina is going to die, or it's getting very close, it's burnt, it's not quite as useful anymore, and he needed to be able to clean swap into something and potentially do some work there. So here, I decided to swap out to Magmar. I'm honestly not entirely sure if that's the right move. It may have been a better move to stay in on Volcanion if I did outspeed. But again, I honestly don't really remember exactly what the speed I was running on it was. I believe I was playing a modest Volcanion because I was not expecting it to need to outspeed anything. And so I just went out to the Magmar, took a hit here with Scorching Sands, and we're going to follow up with the Scorching Sands of our own, sack Magmar, get Heatran to the point where pretty much anything will kill him from my team here. So we got the Spectre. We know that he's going to swap out of the Heat more because it's basically dead. And so here we get a free substitute setup on that swap. He goes for the Grassy Glide, which allows me to land a Will-O-Wisp. This Will-O-Wisp is probably the biggest move in the entire game. This is what sets the pace for me to be able to win this the way that I did. I needed to land that Will-O-Wisp there to knock down the attack on this Rillaboom. Rillaboom would one-shot Spectre with a Grassy Glide. However, now it does like 54% or something like that, which means that I get 2 hits. If I get a Nasty Plot plus 1 kill, I'm able to sweep his entire team. So he gets burnt. I swap out, and I tank a hit with Skarmory. Skarmory is a complete wall against Rillaboom. Rillaboom has absolutely nothing. The only thing that does even some damage to Skarmory is a knockoff, which obviously only does that amount of damage on one turn. What we do is we Whirlwind to get Heatmore out. And then we pull in Jolteon against his what's it called, Alakazam. His Alakazam really didn't have anything to do that much damage against Jolteon. Jolteon had a couple potential moves to be able to OHKO out the Alakazam and get the dub there. And so I think that's actually what's going to happen. Oh yeah, and I also think I ran Shadow Ball on Jolteon too. But we see that he swaps, so we go for the Volt Switch, which allows us to pull back out Spectre and set up the sweep. So here we go straight for the Nasty Plot because we know we can tank a Grassy Slide, which is what he's going to do here. Since he's burnt, it's not going to do as much damage. It still does a lot, 52%, but we get the Shadow Ball, so we go up to 2.5 times special attack, and you can see, actually it doesn't show it, but I believe it was 972 plus special attack by the end of this. And so I'm over here able to just straight up win out by hitting Shadow Ball. This was the game plan since the beginning. And luckily enough for me, I was able to actually execute upon that. It really came down to landing that burn, having that sub up, and being able to land that Will-O-Wisp on that Rillaboom. Had I not done that, it would have been a little bit longer of a game. Potentially could have been a similar outcome. Not entirely sure. Obviously, I still had Skarmory to be able to wall out if need be. I believe First Impression would also be doing a ton of damage to both Rillaboom and also Alakazam. I think it could kill both of them in one shot. So Durant was also kind of a hidden gem there, and I was not running him with Hustle. I believe I was running him with Swarm just to ensure that those hit, because I know that I needed to be able to rely on the Pokemon that I had. And yeah, so very pleased with this overall outcome, 5-0. I would say I could have done a little bit better with playing with Magmar here, but over on the other side here for the Miami Heatran, great game, and I look forward to watching the rest of your matches throughout the rest of the league. All right, peace out, guys.